And good evening, everyone. This is Mighty Pegasus Victor, and today I have a special guest. Let's start. Let me start over. It's my first time getting back live, so it's kind of weird for me to do the whole thing again. But I'm very happy to finally get back on doing some live drawing. It's been a long time, and one way that I thought about would be a great way to come back would be to do an art cast with amazing artists as we draw together and talk about, what motivates us, and and everything that we want to basically. So, and as my first guest, as I'm returning to YouTube, I have uh, Dawson, who is a creator, YouTuber, a comic book artist, and just a nerd in many ways. So, Dawson, how are you doing?
I appreciate that. That's quite the
Yeah.
introduction. It's great to be here, and I'm very honored to be your first guest since returning to YouTube. Which I mean,
Mm.
you've been on quite a journey, so you finally get back to YouTube. I mean, that's a sign things are slowing down, but it doesn't mean that the fight's not over, So that's
Right.
awesome.
Yeah, it's been hard. I've been very busy. And there's been a lot of things going on. But
Yeah.
tonight, we are going to learn more about you. So, um, as I say on Twitter, we are going to be drawing Steppenwolf together and talk at the same time. So I see that you
Or
already have
attempt
your yeah. I saw
to.
that you have your reference already. So that's good.
Yeah, I
That's
took this
fantastic.
screenshot for my viewing of Justice is Great today. My second viewing, actually. I stayed up till 3 a.m. last night because I didn't have work today and
Oh,
watched
nice.
it. It is actually a pretty adorable story with my cat. So I had a stream with Point Extra Lounge last night, and that lasted till right up till 3 a.m.
Mhm.
And so I was like, you know what? I don't have any work, so I'm just going to watch it. So I did. And right at the end, I passed out on my desk. I literally sat here and watched it in this office. And my wife got woken up because my cat, she was clawing on the door and crying really loudly, trying to figure
Oh.
out what if I was okay, trying to get in the room. She's thought I was dead. And
Oh, she was worried.
my wife opened the door and then woke me up, and my cat was just putting her paws on me like Simba and Mufasa in The Lion King. I was just like, oh, this is so adorable, but I'm so tired.
Oh man. Well, how did you like the gray version before we start drawing?
Oh my gosh, dude. I mean, I one thing I learned when getting my art degree from one of my professors was you can tell that a artist really understands lighting if their work reflects and still is very good when it's in black and white. Like if you put a
Yeah.
mask over top and it's in black and white and it still has a lot of great texture and a lot of great detail in there, then you've done something right. And that's the same exact thing with film. Zach does such a great job with his color gradation and his details and hiring great people for VFX. So, I mean, the black and white had all shown through. And honestly, I think I prefer the black and white version, if I'm being quite honest.
Yeah, I was just thinking that last night when I was watching it, and you actually hit a very good point. I was going to ask you later on. As student, about what student learn, in school, in art,
Mm,
about the whole black and white grading, the value of just the black and white, no colors, and you hit a very good point, and I think that's very important for people to learn, to know
yeah.
that, yeah. So, but yeah, I enjoyed the Justice is Gray much better. It was like the art was even better in black and white. It's just
Yeah.
I don't know. It pops so much more.
Yeah, especially with scenes that are very well lit. Like there's
Mm.
two scenes that pop out right away, and they're one of them is the one where Bruce and Alfred are talking on the plane about Barry Allen and how
Mhm.
well lit part of that scene is and how dark the rest of it is. So the contrast is really nice. And the same thing with the Martha and Lois scene in her apartment.
Yes.
Again,
Oh
it's
yes.
just the contrast and the mood of those scenes fits black and white so well. And it's just
Yes.
as soon as he
Absolutely.
announced that was happening, I was like, yes.
Yes, I totally agree. But you know what? We should get going with our drawing and start talking about you because we have people in the comment section that are already wondering what we are going to draw. So I
All
think they're
right.
excited to see what we're gonna come up with. So I'm gonna go ahead and share my screen. For some reason, I cannot. There we go. We'll go like this, guys. So
Yeah.
on the left side you have Dawson, and I am on the right side. So well, let's get started. So first question as we draw, Dawson, is when did you first start drawing?
Oh man, I mean, I've honestly been creating art of multiple different kinds for my entire life. I grew up. I have to charge my Apple Pencil here for a second, but I was a very quiet kid growing up, and
Hmm.
so a lot of the things that I ended up getting as gifts when I was growing up was either like sketchbooks or packs of like oil-based clay. So like I've been doing art for as long as I can possibly remember, and I'm just a very big fan of getting details right and everything, and just drawing, um, figures like people, and like for example, one of the big things I drew growing up was football players. 'Cause my dad was a football coach. Sports were a
Really?
very big part of our life. And so, yeah, ever since I can remember, I've had a pencil and paper in my hand or a thing of clay in my hand. So, I mean, it's been a part of me since forever, honestly.
Wow. Football, huh? That's interesting.
Yeah. And people wonder, like, well, what the heck happened to you, Dawson? Your dad was like a college football player and like a football coach, and you're an art major. And I was like, well, you know what? It's different rhythms for different drummers.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with that, you know?
Not at all. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And so growing up, did you have a like a someone like an artist specifically that you really looked up to?
Oh man. Um, I mean, obviously, there's the greats that you look to when you see like in movies that are shown. Like, of course, growing up, we all have seen like the Mona Lisa so many times. Like, that's the standard
Right.
like piece of art that everybody looks at. And that was one thing that really caught my attention as a kid. I mean, I know it's very
Mhm.
generic and cliche, but that was a very big thing. But as far as like artists that really inspired me, I I read a couple of Spider-Man comics as a kid. We weren't a huge comic book family. I didn't really wasn't able really to get into comic books until later in life. But I did read quite a bit of Spider-Man comics when I could get my hands on them. And
Nice.
the thing is, I can never remember the artist whose books that I read, and that really pains me because like I've been trying to go back and find out what those who illustrated those books and all of that, and I can never find it out, and it bugs me. But they were a huge inspiration to me in how they drew the figure of Spider-Man, like how they drew like the different ways that he moved and contorted his body in the air, because that's a big thing about
Yes.
Spider-Man is
Yes.
his movements and the way he like uses his body in the air. Like, so that's one thing I it always just bugged me, like, who was that guy? And I don't know if I'll ever know, unfortunately, but
Uh-huh. Did you ever find the comic book that that he was drawing to find the name?
I never did. I never found the
Oh
comic.
wow.
Um, but that's always been a mission of mine, is trying to figure out like who was that guy, and hopefully I find out before I die. That's definitely a goal of mine.
Yeah, hopefully you do. I'm actually very curious now. Like, I mean, when we talk about Spider-Man, to me, the first person I think of is Todd McFarlane, because you talk about
Mm,
how the amazing weirdish very exaggerated position that Spider-Man have. I
yeah,
think Todd McFarlane was one of the first one who did that with him.
yeah,
Uh, I remember watching one of his interview, and he talks about how back then the Marvel producer and all that, I mean the director, they just didn't weren't happy with him doing that with Spider-Man. So
which is so
yeah, I mean
odd.
that's the only one I can think of. But
I know the story that I read a lot as a kid was a version of Spider-Man getting the black suit, but it wasn't like the symbiote. You know what I mean? It
right.
was it was like a man-made thing, and it involved like Stiltman. Oh gosh, there's like Leapfrog, I think is his name. Is like a leaping character, but they were like
Okay.
side villains in the story that like kind of tied into the overarching idea. Um, but yeah, I always remembered that story
Huh,
very
okay.
vividly. But it still pains me, like,
Interesting.
'cause I don't know who it is.
Yeah, we got to find out. I'm thinking about it. I'm like, man, I really got to find out who it is too now.
But nowadays, I'm like, there are several artists that really inspire me. One of them, of course, being one of the ones I mentioned before we started the show, Greg Capullo.
Right, yes,
Greg
yes.
Capullo is the man, I swear. Like literally any book that I see that has like his art on the cover, I'm just like, I'm buying it. I don't care if his art's
Yes,
actually in the book. I'm getting it just for the cover.
yes. Yeah, he's so amazing, man. I totally agree, man. And man, like, and we're talking about like Dark Knight Metal, because you were telling me that you got a gift,
I
and
did.
yeah, I mean, I love that run, man. It's amazing, and just Greg Capullo's art in there is just like breathtaking.
Oh, it really is.
Yeah,
And then
yeah, yeah.
along with that, you have The Last Night on Earth, right? Which is kind of in a way somewhat connected in a sense, but it's Scott Snyder and Greg Capullo.
Mhm.
That duo is just legendary
Yes.
on so many grounds. Like, oh my gosh, again, it's the same thing. Anytime I see a book with both their names on it, I'm just like, I don't care. I'm getting it.
You gotta
Like,
get it. Yeah.
there's even an omnibus of all their works that they've done together.
Oh
And
man,
like,
yes.
I've seen that, and it's like $115 on eBay, and I'm just like, man, if I was a richer man, that'd be mine in a heartbeat.
If only we had this much money, right?
Yeah, seriously.
Yeah, yeah. And so, I think I remember. Was it? Did you finish? You actually finished school this year, right? Or was it
I
last
did.
year?
I finished school in December, so I've graduated college. I've been in graduate for was it, like a full semester, basically, so about 6 months. Or wait, I don't even know how long a semester is anymore. I was so done with school by the time I got
Yeah.
out. Like, senioritis hit so bad.
Yeah. Once you were done, you were done. So it's like forget about all that time.
Like, honestly, my senior year of college, I think I had the worst grades I ever had, and that's not saying much because like I always had really good grades, but like I just was not motivated at all. I was just like, I want to get to work, I want to make money. Like, that's why I
Yeah,
did
yeah.
YouTube a lot, and like because I love the interaction and stuff, and also like other jobs and everything. And like school and homework took a back seat, and I was
Uh,
like, I don't care. I'm getting my degree anyway.
right, right. That's great.
Oh man.
So let me see. I'm messing up as we talk. I'm like I'm focusing on what you're saying. It's been a while. It's been a while since I try to focus on drawing and talk at the same time. Usually when I go
Yeah,
to convention, I'm used to that, but it has been a while, so I'm trying to readjust
it's
all
hard
that.
skill to learn. Like, it really is.
It is, it is.
Like, I look at what are those artists? They're the caricature artists at like fairs and
Yes,
such. Like, I
yes,
watch them do their work, and I'm just like, how do you do that while talking to me at the same time? Like, it's
yes.
insane. Because with me, like, I've gotten better at it, but like growing up, whenever I'd start drawing, I would zone out everything around me, like
Mhm.
literally everything. And it wasn't necessarily a good thing, but like it was just what I did, you know.
Right.
But nowadays I've gotten a lot better at like being able to listen to, because of course I'm married now, so of course I have to listen when I'm being spoken to, or else I'm not gonna
Right.
have a good day.
Otherwise, we get in trouble. Yeah,
Yeah. Like, you're
I
not
totally
listening to
understand.
me. It's like, you're
Trust
right,
me.
and I'm sorry, but
I totally understand. Trust me. I'm there with you on that.
yeah. Oh
And
man.
um, so tell me about your comic book, because you one thing that I remember that we I was telling you before is I was so motivated and impressed by you, because you already have your comic book. You already have it out there, and you're pushing it. So tell me about it. Like what's the story, how many you have, and how you came up with those.
Yeah, so essentially we have three comic book stories that we started. The first one was the first comic that I ever published, and it was actually a story that my dad wrote years ago. My dad originally wrote this story called Savage as
Hmm.
a screenplay, like it's probably 15 years ago now.
Okay.
Um, and it kind of sat around for a while because he didn't have any like connections of anyone like who was in the film industry or anything. And I was about to get married by the time I was making it, and I decided to get the first issue done as like a wedding gift for my dad. And I
Hmm.
actually gave him the first ever copy
Oh
at my
wow.
wedding reception. But essentially, the story is about, it spans like three generations. Essentially, it connects these two characters named Blue Raven and Adam Gaines. And Blue Raven essentially is a Sioux Native American who lived in the Black Hills of South Dakota.
Hmm.
And he was a very arrogant and power hungry warrior, right? He was one of those guys who thought that he knew what was best for the tribe. Like, He wanted to have power. He thought that he deserved to be chief over the chief at the time.
Mhm.
And his mother, who we call the Mystic, was like, she's like the sorceress, and she's also kind of the stereotypical lady who wants to have power as well. So she uses her powerful son to accomplish it, right?
Right.
And she kind of feeds into his desires a little bit and like feeds his ego. And eventually the chief of the tribe gets sick and tired of it, and he has one of his most trusted warriors take him out and basically assassinate him.
Right.
And what happens there is that once that warrior gets back to the tribe, they exile the sorceress, and she essentially curses the bloodline of that Native American warrior to basically be possessed by the spirit of Blue Raven and just destroy and dismantle their lives, right?
Wow. Yeah.
And so that's where we come to Adam Gaines. Adam Gaines is this high school football player in 2006. And he is like going to be playing in the state championship game. Like, he's a very humble and very modest kid, like a good leader, good worker, just a very good, solid kid, very much the opposite of Blue Raven. And when he turns 18, he starts to have these hallucinations. He starts having these visions and these nightmares about what Blue Raven went through when he was killed.
Mhm.
And essentially he starts to, again, have that possession of the Blue Raven spirit, and it really starts to wreak havoc on his life. And so we're working on the second volume of that comic right now, although my new job has been kind of getting in the way of me working on that, but we're making headway with that one. And then the second one that we're doing, or that I did, was A Tale of Three. And this was more of like a short comic book run, right?
Did we lose you? Did we lose your screen?
Did we?
Oh, yeah, I don't have you here.
Uh-oh, hold on.
Do you need to get back on? So I didn't mean to stop you in the middle. I just want to make sure people.
No, you're all good. You're all good.
Yeah.
I got to make sure that I wonder. Oh, looks like my phone did something weird. Well, that's not good. That is not good. Hold on, let me.
Okay, no problem. Take your time.
Yeah, make sure that people can see, because I had the charger plugged in because I knew this was going to probably be an issue.
Did it just the screensaver came on or something?
No, I think my phone actually died.
Oh no, that's not good.
Yes, that's fun stuff. Yeah, technical issues all day long. Me and Victor were, me and I were talking about it right before the show. Like, literally, for those in the chat, like literally, I've been dealing with issues with my camera and my tech all day long. Like, it's been a 8-hour-long battle trying to figure out exactly what is wrong with my tech and everything. And I'm actually going into Best Buy tomorrow to try to see if I can get a new computer, just in general, because I've been meaning to do that. And this is a good enough excuse as any to do that and see.
I hope you figure out what's going on.
Yeah, because people need to see my beautiful face, right? People miss that.
I mean, I'm sure everyone wants to see the art right now too. So I hope we can get it back on right now.
Yeah, so I'm gonna try my best to get this on. So it looks like it's charging. I'm trying to see. Yeah, so it's turning back on right now. So we'll be able to get up in just a second.
All right, perfect.
Hopefully.
Let's hope so, guys.
Technology is not my friend.
It's okay. Things happen. But yeah, you were saying, so you're working on the second volume right now at the moment.
Yeah, so second volume of Savage, which we're kind of making headway on, but we have two other stories that we've been working on for a bit. One of them is a 3-part series called Tale of Three, which is actually a Western, which is really interesting because like I've hardly ever worked in like the Western genre. This is a story that my older brother wrote. My older brother, he's published several novels on Amazon, and he actually just published a new one called No Pray, No Pay. It's about like female pirates in Port Royal.
Oh, really? Wow.
Yeah, so like a really interesting story. But he wrote the Western, and we have the first issue of that story out, and it's actually in a frame behind me. If my camera worked, you guys be able to see it. But we're not going to focus on the negatives.
Yeah, let me see. Take your time. I know you're having some difficulties, but yeah.
But yeah, so that one's going to be making headway at some point. And then the third one we're doing is one that I actually have been working on with my younger brother for several years now.
Really?
He wrote or created this character named Vine Lord like several years ago. Like he was 5 years old when he created this character.
Wow.
Like really young, and he's 16 years old now. But essentially, this is a character who I hate to compare it to the Green Lantern because that makes it sound like not original. But like, imagine a nature version of Green Lantern, but more mystical. Kind of like if you combine the elements of Green Lantern and Swamp Thing.
Okay.
So essentially, like the Vine Lords are these like creatures, or these beings who have watched over the Earth for centuries, since the dawn of time. And one of their former members, which I mean, they protect life, but one of the former members actually is the Grim Reaper, or death itself.
Oh, wow.
So it creates a nice, interesting elements of like essentially like yin and yang, and like good versus evil, and like where it originates and stuff. Like, and he's had this story for years, and I was finally able to get the first issue out there on Amazon as well this past year. And that story has a lot of places that it can go. And I'm just very, very excited for those possibilities, for sure.
Yeah, that sounds very exciting. Like your brother's gotta have some great imagination, man. Just
that's
that early on, that's crazy.
I mean, that guy's imagination's been working since he came out of the womb. Like, let's be honest here. That guy, his imagination is something else. I mean, he's constantly thinking of new things, and he's always constantly like looking at things from a very interesting perspective. Like he'll be watching like the most like run-of-the-mill comedy ever, and he'll like make some like really profound observation about like the way the people in the movie are carrying their lives and stuff. And I'm just like, dude, you're like 16. Why do you care about this?
Like you should be worried about other things. That's crazy.
Like homework.
Wow. Maybe we should have your brother one day. Like sounds like we can learn a few things from his mind. I think we got you back right here. Let's see.
Yeah, let's see. Hopefully it stays this time. Oh, no.
I think we just got that sound issue again.
I got you. I turned off the mic on that one. Okay, there we go.
How do we get back to the other one now? Let's see.
Yeah, I do apologize for that, folks.
It's all right. It happens. No worries.
Yeah.
I think it's a matter of figuring out. There we go. Yeah. Now we got you back here.
Yes.
Yeah. Really quick, let me just say hi to everyone in the chat. Hello, Jay. I know you. I saw you earlier. I meant to say hi. Bob, Colin. Oh, Colin. That's my nephew.
Oh, nice.
Welcome. Yeah, I appreciate you joining. Jonathan Ayala, another fantastic artist. We're gonna have to have you, Jonathan, if you're still there. Have you ever get the chance to see Jonathan Ayala's art?
I think so. I mean, I'm not great with names, but the name sounds very familiar.
Oh yeah, he's a fantastic artist, and But anyway, we should definitely have you sometime, Jonathan, if you're still there. But yeah, so you were saying again, we're talking about your brother. That's what it was.
Yeah, he's. Oh my gosh, I wish he was in a place where his internet was better, because he lives out with my parents in like the woods, essentially near Richmond, Virginia. Like they literally have like no internet out there because they have like no towers. Like it's really bad. Like he did YouTube for a while, and he'd have to like go to like the McDonald's parking lot to post his videos. Like,
wow,
it was very, very ghetto.
That's crazy.
Oh goodness gracious!
I can't believe he has to go that far just to get a
solid internet connection. Like it's. I feel so bad for him sometimes, but he makes it work. Yeah,
I mean that's great. I mean he's definitely motivated. I can tell from what you tell me.
Oh yeah.
So that's great. I think talking about motivation, like where do you get yours from? Like every day, when aside the artists that that you admire, that you look up to, where do you draw your motivation from?
I think the majority of it just like I don't know, because like there's always been this thing in my head about like just being creative in general. Creativity is something that's always motivated me. It's always been something that's like I've loved to do, Just because you know the feeling when you make something and you know it's all yours and that
Right.
you created that, you did that, you made it exist.
Hmm.
Like there's a big sense of accomplishment that comes from that, and that doesn't only apply to art, of course. I mean, obviously we
Right.
see directors like Zack Snyder, Christopher Nolan. They obviously have that same kind of feeling when they make a movie, you
Right.
know, because it's their baby, it's their work of art, it's their thing that they slaved over for a long time to, you know, to make something that matters to them, you know,
Right.
and that's one thing that really motivates me. And also just reading comics. Like I try to read from a graphic novel every day, or
Hmm.
every night before I go to bed. The one I'm reading right now is The Road to Metal. So the lead up to the Dark Knights Metal storyline, which is just a bunch of
Nice.
stories that hint at it and everything. And just reading those stories and seeing the artists and what they do. Like, and I always love finding new artists to admire. Like, for example, like, I mean, John Romita Jr. is not a new artist, obviously, but he's
Right.
one that lately I've grown more fond of after watching or reading his art or looking at his art in Superman Year One by Frank Miller. Also, some of his stuff that he did in the Day or Road to Metal and everything, and a lot of the
Hmm.
stuff that he's done. Like, I always love finding new artists. I'm just like, hey, I could take something away from what they're doing. Like,
Absolutely. Yeah.
I can see what they're doing here, and I can see their kind of method, and it's just always really cool to find those new inspirations.
Right. Yeah. No, I like that. You're talking about method because so when I look at artists, I like, and you kind of touch up on it a little bit, when you talk about like, you looking at the how you can pick up a little bit from the artist,
Mm,
uh, I I always tell people that I'm more of a visual learner, like if I
yeah,
see you do something, I can replicate it and make it my own, or something like that,
yeah.
Yeah.
I feel the same way. It's kind of like it's like me with my new job right now. Like I just started a new job at a factory where we assemble HVAC units, right?
Hmm.
And the biggest way that I've learned how to do my job is just simply watching my trainer do it. And
Right.
then, you know, I'll go in afterwards and try to replicate it as best I can. And sometimes I get it right, and sometimes I get it dead wrong. And they tell me, and I'm just like, okay, well, I'm embarrassed, but you know, I'm the exact same way. If you show me how to do it, I can do it. If you try to detail and explain to me like why you do it, and you're teaching me, I'm so lost. But if you
Right.
just show me, you know, that's why I love the unwrapped books. Like for example, Justice League Unwrapped by Jim Lee.
Mhm.
You know,
Yes.
like you
Yes.
see their process, you see the line work, you see how they approached
Hmm.
the art in the most base of form, and
Absolutely.
it's so amazing to see that.
Yeah, I love the unwraps too. I think the first unwrap I got was the Hush one,
Oh,
and because
dude,
Hush was just one of my favorite. It's still one of my favorite of all time.
same.
And yeah, and when the Hush version, I mean I lost the word when the what's it called again? I lost my word.
Unwrapped.
Unwrap. When the unwrap came up, where you can actually see Jim Lee do all the lines and everything, I was like, wow, man, that's what I needed. That's what I needed to see. And
Yeah,
just from looking at all that, it's like you really see the process. The notes that Jim Lee leaves, everything. It's crazy, and I
yeah.
just learned from that too.
And one thing that always kind of one thing that I loved was the moment that I realized that most like big time comic book artists, like of course you have like line artists, you have the inkers and everything, and the color artists and everything, and like for a long time, I would be so down on myself for being so slow and getting my art done. But then
Mhm.
one day it just kind of clicked in my head like most of these artists only do one aspect of the process, which is still impressive, of course, but like they don't do all of the aspects of the art for the majority of the time.
Right.
And I remember learning that, and I was like, "Oh, okay, I feel a lot better about myself now. Thank you so
Yes,
much for
that's a very good point. Yes.
yeah. Don't have
Yeah,
to
I think
worry
that's
about
one
being
thing that
fast."
we when when we don't know much yet about the industry and the artists and stuff. We think they do everything. But a lot of time, like you said, they just work on one aspect of it. The colorists take care of the color and so on. And
Yeah,
and it kind of I get what you mean when you say it kind of make me feel better, make you feel better too. About your art, because I was like, man, Uh, I don't know how. I'm not the best at color. I'm actually pretty horrible at color. So I know exactly what you mean. Like
I
it
feel
kind of
that
yeah,
color is. Color is my weakness too. I mean,
Yeah.
I've been getting better at it, I feel, but like color is definitely like colorists are
Hmm.
champs. I mean, seriously, like
Yes.
I mean, line art, you can do so good with line art, and a lot of artists do, but if you don't get the right coloring,
Hmm.
like it can really throw the whole thing off. Like I
Yes.
think one of the best examples of perfect matching of coloring and line art is Superman Unchained with
Oh man.
Jim Lee's line art, of course, but then you have, of course, the colors for that, which I can't remember their name, and the way they lit the shots and the images.
Wasn't it Sin Color who did that?
Let me see. I believe it.
Because
You
I
might be,
have that one
yeah,
too. I love
Sinclair,
that one.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, Sin Color is amazing, and I think he works with Jim Lee a lot. But I do agree because when you look at the Jim Lee's art, it's so detailed, like down to
Oh
like the grains, like when there's like a massive destruction, Jim Lee is down there, with all the details. So I know what you mean. It's crazy how the colorist is able to, just get all that and give it even more life.
And one other thing, I mean, we can talk about Jim Lee for hours.
Yes.
Is that he creates these lines in his faces
Mhm.
that, like, in real life they don't exist, but in the art it translates to a human face. It's so
Right.
weird how that works. Like, and I've been studying it for a long time, and I'm still trying to figure out, like, how the frick does he do this? Like,
Yes.
this line does not exist on a human being, but yet it looks like a human being on the
Yeah.
page. Like,
He made it happen somehow.
yeah, he's just like, you know what? I'm going to do this unorthodox thing, and
Yeah.
you're going to like it. And dang it, he was right.
Yeah. Yeah. That Jim Lee is just magical, man. He is a master at what he does. It's crazy.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. But yeah, Superman Unchained. Since we're talking about that, Superman Unchained to me is one of those things that uh, I'm kind of changing subject very quick because you mentioned Superman Unchained is one of my favorite because
Oh yeah.
the way Scott Snyder and Jim Lee did that one is they really broke down the way Superman thinks. Like the first few uh, panels that you read, you're basically in Superman's mind,
Yeah,
and he
exactly.
just think within the second what he has to do, and that right there is like, wow, man, I was like, I don't think I've ever seen that before, and
Yeah, and you
that
see
was amazing.
you see Clark like beat himself up for simple things he's not able to do. Like that's just, like
Right.
he says, "Oh, that's a stupid idea. That won't work. That will take too much
Hmm.
time." Like,
Hmm.
yeah, he just goes through his thought process when he's saving people, because that's something that, like, you don't really see a lot. Like, you see the action itself of people being saved, which is awesome, but you don't often see like the thought process. You see it more often with like a Batman story, for example.
Right.
Like if he's fighting a bad guy and he makes a mistake, he's like, "Oh, that was sloppy." You see that very often in Batman
Hmm.
stories, but a little less likely, a little less often in Superman stories. At least I feel.
Yes, I agree. Yes, I think that's one of the reason why that comic book really stood out to me.
Yeah, and I love the villain Wraith. I think Wraith is such a underrated character.
Yeah, I was kind of mad that he was just there for that for that one run.
Yeah, like
He's
I would love to see
fantastic.
more of him. Like if someone wants to like create a whole different line of like Wraith stories of like exploring that character and studying it, like take my money now.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm the same. If somebody's gonna do it, I'm all for it. I'll support you,
Zack Snyder, if
whoever
you're
it is.
listening, make that alongside your Frank Miller Dark Knight Returns movie.
Yeah, but let's let's talk. Let's get back to your comic book. So as of right now, what do you like? Where can we find your art? I mean, your comic book right now.
Yeah, so they're on Amazon.com, and essentially the easiest way to find them is I have links to them in the description of all my YouTube videos.
Okay.
Um, and essentially, what you can also do is just type in Savage and then type in the name DJ, Dejay. That's my dad's name, and because he's the one who wrote the story.
Mhm.
And that should pop up as one of the first ones. And then the other one, Tale of Three, just type in Tale of Three Asher, Ashur, because that's again my brother's name that wrote it.
Mhm.
Um, and then Vine Lord, Just type in Vine Lord, and that should be pretty easy to find, actually. Like, that one's actually not that complicated. But yeah, all on Amazon right now. We do our own self-publishing, so no like publishing deals or anything like that, which would be cool, but you know, we don't have that luxury. But yeah, that's where they're at the moment.
I think it's cool, like I said, I haven't even started on mine, so that to me is amazing. You have to start somewhere, you have to put it out there.
Exactly.
And that's one thing that I always tell young artists out there. You just have to put your stuff out there. Don't be afraid. Start right now, put it out there.
Yeah. Why do you think Ryan started putting out his art? Because I inspired him.
Yeah. Ryan is pretty good too, man. I'm glad that
really is.
He started putting his stuff out there too. I remember having this talk when he messaged me on Twitter, and I was like, man, you're pretty good, man. You should really just start putting it out there, and I'm glad he did. So,
yeah, no, he's got a lot of great talent. He has really great line work and such, and he loves just doing comedic art too. Like, he loves just making fun of people, and it's great. Like, if Ryan were to ever do like a comedy comic book, he would have so much fun just mocking people left and right. Why does he keep doing this to me? But oh gosh, that'd be a book I would buy.
Yeah. No, he's a funny guy. I think he's gonna be one of our next guests here. On my channel. So
have fun containing that.
No, I think I like it. I wouldn't even contain it. I think we do need that kind of humor, that kind of his way of breaking the ice. I think it's great. Especially as an artist, I think it's fantastic.
Yeah, I was actually on the phone with him a little bit ago. He was trying to help me figure out my technical issue stuff, and he was make off the cuff jokes just out of nowhere when we like couldn't figure out what to do. And he's great. I love the fact that we do Four Nerds together, and that he and I have such a tight relationship, and just a solid dude. And yeah, great guy.
Yeah. Well, now that you talk about a Four Nerd and your other channel basically, and like I mentioned at the beginning, you're not just an artist. You also do video like review, like movie review. You all do other content. So tell me how you decided to, what made you decide to do that also on top of art.
Well, the thing with YouTube is that my little brother, the one that wrote Vine Lord, he started YouTube before me. He started YouTube probably 3 years ago, and his channel is called Briggs Comics. He hasn't been able to post a lot just because, again, the internet stuff that he has to deal with. But he started YouTube, and at the time I was working, and I still kind of work with sports broadcasting at my university, and so I was comfortable behind the mic, and I love sports and everything. But I'm a nerd at heart. I love a lot of different things, and of course, comic books and movies are one of them. And I saw so many different channels of people who never really talked about things they loved, but talked about things they hated. And while at times that can be funny, it just was draining for a while. And so I was like, you know what? I want to make a channel where I talk about the things that like really get me excited, the things that I love, have fun with people, and make it a positive experience. And then I made my channel, and of course the name Nerdy in Many Ways comes from the fact that I have so many different interests. Like, when I first started the channel, I did weekly football updates. I did like a bunch of different music covers, which I still do music covers sometimes from time to time when I get the time. But I did so many different things. And of course, one of those things being DC and Zack Snyder related content, just because like for the longest time, I felt like I was one of the few people who liked the DCEU, because like people around me in my own like actual circle of people that I hung out with in person, because I wasn't very active on social media, they weren't very into it. So a lot of times I'd kind of keep that under wraps and be like, okay, sure, like whatever. Even though at heart I'm just like, I love Batman v Superman. It's my favorite movie. Like, please don't mock it. But but then of course getting on YouTube, and I found people like, for example, Fatal J was one of the first people I found, and
That's right.
And so like finding other people that love that as well, and that really got me more sparked into doing more with YouTube, just because like there was always something to talk about. There was the great theories that were happening, and the excitement of the possible release of the movie. Then eventually, the announcement, which I was just like, holy crap, this is actually happening. And now we're at the point where probably between the two of us, we've both in total watched the movie like 10 times already. So
Absolutely, yeah. No, I think it's fantastic, like and you mentioned about the people that that you met along too, like Fellow J. I remember watching the first video, at least it's the first video I saw of you where you just really thanks all the people that really push you to start your own channel. And that's
Yeah.
the first one I remember of you. And I remember you mentioning Fellow J, and then I didn't know also that Fellow J was an artist, so and Fellow J also have his own comic, so that's like another person that's out there that that's like
Yeah.
uh people always like when I was announced the winner of the fan art contest, people were like, oh man, you're a legend, you're doing so much, but me, I get motivated by people like you guys, like you, Fedo J, who already have your own, like, comic book, your own IP, and that's something that I'm trying to get at, so uh like from my side of view, this how I see it basically,
Yeah. No,
yeah,
that's
so
awesome.
yeah.
I remember when the contest was happening, and I was like really busy with school projects, and so like I didn't have the time to put together like a solid piece.
Mhm.
But then I remember seeing yours was announced the winner. I was like, okay, yeah, that deserves to win, like 100%, because like that is freaking awesome, and I never would have thought of it in a million years to do that. Just because you did such a great job with that, and I think
Too
that's the
kind,
first time I
man.
ever heard of you, and then of course the rest is history.
Too kind, guys. Too kind. Like yeah, I really appreciate. It's amazing. How much love I receive from that. But
Yeah.
I keep telling people. I'm just very lucky. There were so many good artists out there, and honestly, I don't even know how I did it. It's like
Well,
I
I
don't know how
say
I did
what,
it.
like when it comes to artists and people in general, like personalities, like you are very deserving of it, absolutely. Because like I remember like last week when you posted that video of you and the Snyders and you giving them that picture of Autumn that you drew,
Mhm.
like that, it's moments like that people call you a legend, man, because that's something special. When I first saw the video, I was like, man, that's amazing. That's a moment right there that you're able to share with the Snyders. They're able to give to them, you know, um, like actual like visual memory of their daughter to always have. Of course, they always have her in their memory, but like to
Right.
have her commemorated like that from an artist that they selected for a poster contest. I mean, that's something special, man.
I appreciate it, man. That really means a lot. I really cherish everything that you guys, say, the support, that means a lot.
Yeah,
Appreciate.
yeah, absolutely.
But then again, we're here to talk about you, so let's not talk about me. I really appreciate all the time that all of you guys has spent to inviting me over to your show. So
Yeah.
now is the time for you. It's your time. So we want to know more about you.
That's the nicest way anyone's ever told me to shut up.
I mean, it's just I feel like it's one of those things where I feel like people already know so much about me. So I feel like I got nothing else to say. It's I want to learn about you guys.
Uh,
Basically.
no, that's how it feels to be a podcaster on YouTube. Like you feel like you tell these different stories all the time, and
Yeah.
then you feel like everybody knows you, and oh man, that's pretty funny.
Yeah, I think I'm on the other side now, so I know what you mean now. It kind of feels good. Really quick, I just want to say hi to Raze. Raze, thank you for joining.
Hey, what's up,
Teaching.
Ray?
Raze is a great guy. I don't know if you see him on your
Oh
stream a
yeah,
lot, but Raze is a great guy. He's been there for a while, and one very lucky winner back then too, who got to get one of my art.
yeah.
So yeah, so welcome to the stream, Raze. But anyway, I forgot where we left off. What were we talking about?
I believe you asked me about uh, we were talking about why I started YouTube and everything, and getting into that.
Correct. Right.
And I think at first I just simply did a lot of movie reviews, and actually one thing that really got me going on YouTube was these ending explained videos where I would go into movies that haven't really been covered in depth, like video essays and such, and go through them just because there's so many different movies out there that I feel like they get overlooked.
Hmm.
And a couple of those videos really took off. Like those are still to this day some of my highest viewed videos, and that was like the most lucky thing ever. And I've been meaning to do another one. I have another script written for another video. I just haven't had the chance to record it, just because, again, all the stuff that's been happening with the Snyder Cut and everything.
Yes. Yeah.
But I did a lot of those, and so like I try to cover all these different topics. But this past year, of course, everything Snyder Cut related, like I've kind of latched onto that, because that's one thing that I really love the Snyderverse. Like I really do. Like I've always been a guy that liked comic book characters and stuff, and I've always loved Batman. But the DCEU is really when I started getting latched to Superman. Like, of course, I've read a lot of classic Superman stories now, and I love the character in many different iterations and such. But Man of Steel was really when I really started to love the Superman character, because it approached him on a different level. You know, and I was I appreciate this. It's no longer just the same old thing, which is nothing wrong with Christopher Reeve and Brandon Routh and such. But like, it was something that made me look at the character in a different light that I had never done before. And I really love it when movies do that for me. When movies give me something to revisit again and again. Because one thing I always say in my movie reviews is I think the most important thing with a movie is how much rewatch value does it have? How many times can I go back to this movie and enjoy it and feast and still enjoy what's being presented? Because if it gives me that kind of rewatch value, then to me it succeeds.
Right.
You know, like there's still plenty of places for one-time viewing movies that are fun, and the next time around that you really don't get anything out of it. And I mean, those are totally fine. But for me, the most fulfilling experiences are those rewatchable films, like BVS, for instance.
Yes. Yeah.
Right.
Definitely. I think it tells a lot, about a movie if you rewatch it, many more times. It absolutely speaks a lot about the movie.
Yeah, absolutely, 100% agree.
Yes. So now that we touched into like the Snyder verse, when exactly did you get into Zack Snyder? Basically, like, was it just Man of Steel, or was it before that, or?
So the first time I watched Man of Steel was in the theater, and that was back when I was still like a little less educated on Superman. And like I remember enjoying it, but I didn't revisit it for a long time. But it was the promotion for Batman v Superman that got me really excited, because the thing was that it was one of the first times I really paid attention to an advertising campaign for a movie where they promoted a bunch of different comics to read to understand what's going on. Right, like BBS did a really great job of that. Like, read these comics to kind of get an idea as to what we're going for. And so I took that to heart, and I did. And when I watched the movie, and I saw all the different things they did, and the references they made, and the ways they honored certain aspects of the story, I was just like, yes, I love this. And besides the Snyder Cut, BVS was probably the movie I was most anticipated for, or most excited for. My iPad's doing some really weird things in the moment. Not quite sure what this is.
No worries.
But yeah, no, like that movie was something that got me really, really excited, and it didn't disappoint. I mean, obviously the theatrical version is not as great as the Ultimate Edition, but it was something that really got me stoked and got me more into reading comics. And I mean, to this day, it's still probably, obviously Zack Snyder's Justice League is out there and it's pretty close, but it's still to this day my favorite movie of all time, just for so many reasons.
No, I agree. I think I'm the same. Man of Steel is, to me, is fantastic.
Oh yeah.
It's people always tell me that they like BVS more, but to me it's just Man of Steel. Something about it.
I think, to me, Man of Steel is probably the better made film. But I love BVS for the feel that it has and for the complexity that it has. Because like Man of Steel, to me, is the most impressive solo story on screen, like solo origin superhero story. Just because, again, the complexity, the way you have to approach things and think about the character and what they're going through. And yeah, so I agree. Man of Steel is just, it's a masterpiece. What else can you say?
Yes, it is, So I haven't looked at what your progress yet, but man, yours is looking very good.
Oh, I'm getting there. My iPad's kind of doing weird things, so I mean, hopefully it keeps being friendly to me. What I hope to try to do is to, I'm of course going to do a little bit of layer of gray, but go in and try to get a little bit of streaks of a little purplish and white to kind of give that that reflective look that it has in the movie.
Right.
You know, there's some scenes where like it's straight up purple, and I think that's
Yes.
so cool that it changes with the lighting. It's like, ooh, pretty.
Yeah. On my end, I'm just kind of like, trying to do it fast. Usually I'd like to take my time, but I don't know how fast I can be, doing a live stream. So I'm
Yeah,
basically putting stuff in, putting my shade in, and going back and refining it later. So that's what
yeah,
I'm doing, guys. So if you guys looking at me and it look like I'm just doing a bunch of black patch, I'm just trying to find my shade and
yeah,
coming back and detailing it later.
yeah. No, that's oftentimes we have to do like there's a bunch of different pieces that on my iPad that I've started and didn't finish just because like I couldn't find the rhythm of it or anything. But then there's some
Yeah.
you go back to and you're just like, why didn't I finish this before? And you finish it, and it's like you're most proud of it. It's like, yes, like this is fun. But
Yeah.
I'm one of those guys like I'm weird in the sense I like to finish a drawing in one sitting, which can kind of be a bad thing because that will mean that I'll sit down for hours and not get up.
Mhm.
Um, and if I don't finish it, like I'll leave it as like kind of like a doodle. Of course, not with my comic books. Of course, my comic books, those ones will take more of my time just because
Right.
they're
You want to make sure they're good.
yeah. You want to make
Yeah.
sure
Yeah.
they're all quality and everything, and
Mhm.
so it makes a little bit different mentality and different approach.
Absolutely. Well, let's talk about the approach that you take on the comic book compared to like a simple sketch. What do
Yeah.
you do?
So one thing that I used to do a lot, and I need to do more, and that's just because like things happening in the world that you just can't do this as much anymore when you can't really go out as much. But what I would
Mhm.
do for a long time is if I went to like class or church, for instance, I would take a sketchbook and just sketch things around me. One thing that I always loved to do was sketch people that were giving speeches and sketch like the building around them and such.
Mhm.
And it's great practice for like structures and forms and everything. And so that's what I do with like sketches, just very, very rough line work. But as far as approaching comic book art, like I feel like my style's constantly evolving,
Mhm.
which I think can be a good thing. I mean, obviously, if you want to have a distinct style, maybe not so much. But if you're just always looking to improve and looking to see what you can do better, I think that's a good thing to always be evolving and changing what you do just to see like, hey, what if this works? Maybe this doesn't work as well, or maybe it works better than what I was doing before.
Mhm.
Um, but with comics, I've definitely gotten a lot more focused on the ink shading. Like what I'll usually do is I'll go in with a sort of a sketching brush, like a pencil brush on my iPad, for
Right.
instance, and get the basic shapes, like get the whole, like, build it out, like the circles and stuff, the classic thing. And then
Right.
I'll go in with another layer of pencil, more refine it, and then hide the first layer. Like I basically build it layer by layer until it gets the ink where I have the
Mhm.
very fine lines that are very distinct and very set and where they're
Right.
supposed to be. So very much not what I'm doing right now.
Right.
But
I know, me too. Usually I don't do this, like I said, but I totally understand what you're trying to say.
yeah,
Different process. Absolutely.
yeah, for the speed you have to go or whatever, it's all different. It's like a lot of people will make the mistake of thinking like, oh, artists, they approach every drawing the same. It's like, no,
No, not at all.
no, not in the slightest.
Yes.
Let's see.
So when it comes to your comic book, do you how do you try to figure out how many panel you're gonna be doing, how many pages it's gonna take, before you actually get onto it?
So when it comes to the amount of pages, like what usually happen is my brothers and my dad will have the script written out,
Mhm.
right? And essentially what I'll do is I will look through the beginning parts of the script and I'll find a good stopping point. And I won't
Okay.
have a set page number. I'll just go to that point.
Hmm.
And sometimes that'll mean that I get to only like 25 pages. Sometimes it'll be like 32, just
Right.
depending on how much detail will go into that part of the story, just because there's some times where you just can't cut off a story at a certain point. You have
Right.
to
Absolutely. Yes.
you have to go to a building point so that like it leads into the next part of the story and everything. You gotta be really careful as to like where you stop it, because if you stop it before it
Hmm.
gets exciting,
Hmm.
then it's not exciting. And that
I
it kind
know.
of
Absolutely. Yeah. I
um
totally agree. Yeah.
yeah. Got to delete a couple of these real quick because apparently my iPad's like,
Oh yeah,
hey, yeah, you have too many
good
pieces
time.
of artwork. Might
Yeah, yeah.
want to offload a couple. It's like, okay.
Really quick, we got a question from Jay. Here it says, "How long have each of you been creating art or drawing in your life?" So go ahead, answer
Yeah.
that.
For me, it's kind of like I mentioned before, is my entire life. I have been drawing ever since I can remember. I think I mentioned the clay thing before, and clay was probably the thing I did the most growing up. In fact, I remember I was a very quiet kid, and oftentimes when I'd get back from school, I just go to my room and immediately go to my clay. And one of the things I did a lot was build people and cities on my shelves in my room. Just because, like, again, the idea of being able to create something so grand and massive was always so appealing to me. Um, so yeah, I ever since I can possibly remember, I think even probably as early as my 4th birthday, I was getting like sketchbooks and things of clay for Christmas and my birthdays.
Wow. So very, very young.
Yeah,
That's
very,
fantastic.
very.
I think that's what a lot of us artists, start very young, but for some reason we don't actually get started in our journey like until later on.
Yeah,
Kind of funny.
it's like you get into art early, but you don't really know exactly what you want to do with it till much later.
Correct. Yes. But anyway, as far as for me, as far as I can remember, probably around maybe 8 years old, 7, 8 years old, a long time.
Yeah.
And it's kind of I haven't really done anything clay like you, but I've just been always attracted to like manga and anime when I first started. So
Mm.
that's what got me started into art.
My wife is really into mangas and animes. One of the mangas she really loves is Yona of the Dawn. And she's one of the first people to really get me to sit down and watch anime, just because like we didn't watch a whole lot of that growing up, just
Hmm.
because like my dad wasn't interested in it, and so we live in his house, so we most of the time watch things that him and my mom are interested in until we develop our own
Right.
interests. And since we were never exposed to it, it just never happened. But then I started dating my wife, and she showed me Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood, which of course that's
Hmm.
one of the first ones you show. It's amazing. Um,
Yes, I love
and
that
I
show.
was and I was just like, holy crap! Like I haven't seen this. Like what the heck is going on here? My dad cheated me. That was such an awesome story. But no, I've gotten more into that. Like I've loved
Yeah.
almost every single Studio Ghibli film that I've watched. Um, I definitely still have a lot to learn as far as like anime and shows is concerned, but I'm getting there. My wife's working on me.
Yeah. No, that's good. That's good. Yeah. Brotherhood is fantastic. So
Yeah.
yeah, I'm glad you got to see that.
I've watched it several times now. Like my wife and I watched it together when we were dating, and then a little bit
Uh,
into our marriage, I watched it by myself. My wife was so proud when she walked in and saw that I was watching it on my own. She's like, "What? You liked it?" It's like, "Yeah, I liked it. I told you I liked it, so of course I do." It's like I
that's
didn't know
so
if you were just
funny.
saying it to be nice or not. It's like, "No, I actually meant it."
Ah, that's nice. It's funny because I have a similar story about that. For me and my wife, because she doesn't like many anime. Actually, she doesn't like manga or anime at all. But
Hmm.
Brotherhood is the only one that I got to have her sit through the whole thing, and she was very into it. So she loved that show. I think it has to do with just the connection with the brothers, and something
Hmm.
about it that everybody loves, and it's just so attractive, you know,
I think
moving.
I think the magic is just so cool too. Like the science of it,
Yes.
the characters, like how they interact, and
Mhm.
the story is just so interesting.
Mhm.
Uh, and one thing that I love about Brotherhood is that unlike a lot of other shows out there, like cartoons and such, there's very few filler. There's not even really any filler episodes. Like every single
Correct.
episode contributes to the story.
Yes. Yes, I agree. I think that's true. I think. Have you heard of the series that came out before Brotherhood? Basically, was like the same thing, but they added like they changed
Yeah,
the story a little bit.
my wife told me
And
about that when she first introduced it to me. She's like, "Yes, this is a series
yeah,
before, but they got ahead of the manga, and then they like started doing fillers, and it
yeah, yeah.
wasn't as good, and then they ended up doing this whole other weird thing."
Hmm.
Um, and I was just like, "Dang, that kind of sucks." And she's
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
"Yeah, when Brotherhood came out, it fixed everything." It's like, "Oh, okay."
Basically. So yeah.
It's like kind of what she
Uh,
says about uh, there's the anime called Sword Art Online.
oh
Um,
yes,
but
yes.
there's the YouTube channel that does like dubbed versions of it. where they
Yeah.
change it a little bit.
Hmm.
And it's hilarious. I've never watched the
Yes.
real show, but my wife's like, trust me, this is better. I mean, I can't speak on whether that's true or not, but that's just my wife's opinion. But
Mhm.
I love watching that. That's one of our guilty pleasures, just sitting down and watching that YouTube channel.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Those are funny.
Especially like the main character and his like kind of lisp, and just like that's not the
Yeah,
voice of main character you'd expect.
yeah. Now a lot of the thing in Sword Art Online is like, if you play MMO yourself, you know what it is, and like you laugh at it, even more.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. Oh my gosh, I remember we watched like 6 episodes of that one night because my wife like saw it for the first time in a while. She's like, "Have you ever seen this?"
Uh-huh.
Like, no. He's like, "Oh boy, do I have a treat for you." It's like, okay.
That's fantastic.
I think it's kind of hard to see the purple streaks I'm putting in on my iPad, but maybe we'll be able to see it better in a little bit.
Oh yeah, no worries. You already started coloring it, right?
Yeah, just because I did a very basic pose, very
Yeah.
basic structure, and I'm gonna go over top with the line work a little bit more in a little bit, but I kind of wanted to get to the color and see what I wanted to do because I'm trying to get like the purple-ish shine into it.
Hmm.
Of course, get the white as well.
Yeah, talking about that purplish shine, like I like how that metal shine because like in the movie towards the end it started shining like gold,
Yeah,
less like a purplish. That's what I noticed that.
it was interesting. Just the whole design of Steppenwolf
Yeah.
was just so interesting, and it's so funny how you can compare that to the original, or I guess the theatrical version of Steppenwolf, where he
Mhm.
was so bland and so boring. But
Right.
literally in this one, he's like flexing and arrows are snapping off his
Hmm.
body, and like his armor is like moving and wriggling everywhere he goes. And it's just like, man, seriously, Warner Brothers, why didn't you give this to us back in 2017?
Exactly. Yeah, it's crazy.
I think that's the
But
main question that most people, not even just Snyder fans anymore, but just like everybody's asking, like, yo, where was this?
I mean, they always said that it was deemed too scary or something like that, but I feel like, I mean, it is, I wouldn't say scary. It just like Stephen was just a very imposing guy.
Yeah, he was a
But it
brawler. He
was,
was intimidating.
yeah.
Um,
But I
yeah,
don't think it was scary in that sense that Warner Bros was like afraid that the public will think.
like it's funny that like they're making movies about a universe that literally has a version of Batman that slaughters Superman and his family. It's just like
Yeah.
you're making stories about these versions, like these characters that have really dark stories that people love it for that reason, and then you decide that the story's too dark. It's like,
Mhm.
what do you think DC is?
Yeah, pretty much.
Let's
Let's
see.
see. Trying to fix my sketch too. And you were talking about how you got a pretty basic position on you. I think I got a very basic too. I wasn't
Yeah,
trying to make it hard. Just very basic.
just get from the
And
side angle. Yeah,
yeah,
I
it
was
feels a little
tempted.
weird to say again.
I was tempted with like a battle stance at first, but I was like, yeah, I'm not gonna have time.
Yeah, I think that's what I was going for too. I didn't want to make it too complicated. Something very quick that we can work on. As we speak, as we talk. So
Mm.
yeah, I think we got it down right. I think.
Yeah, great minds think alike.
Exactly. All right. So let's see. Now I'm kind of lost on where we left off. So because we started talking about Zack Snyder's Justice League again, and
It's
now I
very easy
forgot
to get
where.
lost in that
Yeah, I
topic.
forgot where I was with. It's so different. Like I feel like if I was just listening to you and not drawing, I think like I'll get the question going, but it's
uh,
very different when we're both drawing.
no, yeah, I can agree with that. No, it's good though. This is fun. I'm really enjoying this.
Yeah.
Like, because usually, like, if I'm drawing something, like most people tend to leave me alone because like, oh, he needs to focus. Like, well, I mean, the conversation would be nice. I mean, don't run away. Like, come
Yeah.
back.
No, I feel the same. Like I don't mind people talking to me. Actually, I like it, you know, because I need to get back into my old routine where when I used to do convention, I'll draw
Yeah,
live with people, you know, and it really trains me to do multitask, you know, and
yeah.
get better at it. So it helps me a lot, basically.
Yeah, that's the thing that I love about like doing art too, is I love multitasking. One of the things that I would
Mhm.
do a lot for a while was when I'd start to draw or do things with my comic, I would put on TV shows to listen to in the background. I wouldn't put on brand new ones that I haven't seen, of course, because those you
Mhm.
have to like pay attention to. But like shows like The Office or Friends,
Oh yeah.
ones that I've watched so many times and that are just nice comfort shows. Like people have their own
Mhm.
comfort foods, like people have ice cream as a comfort food or something
Right.
like that. I have comfort shows, and those are Friends and The Office. And I just put those on. They relax me. I get into a mode of like just getting into the zone with drawing, and
Uh-huh.
it's nice when that happens.
Now I'm with you on that. You know, talking about The Office is funny because I never got into the Office until my brother got me into it. I always thought the show was kind of stupid, you know, but I really got into that kind of stupid too. So, you know, I got hooked. You know, it's funny how things goes. You know.
And it's really hard not to get hooked. I
Yeah.
was kind of similar way. Like my older brother watched it for a while, and he had a coworker that he and him would quote it all the time. And I never had gotten into it, but now since when it was on Netflix, I had gotten to the point where I watched it like all the way through at least like 2 or 3 times a year.
Mhm.
Like I watched it a lot, and now that's not on Netflix anymore. It's kind of a sad day, but
Yes.
no, that's a show that I always would go back to, just because it's such a good show. There's no,
Yes.
like, I feel like it wouldn't be able to be made today, just because like there's some jokes in there that like people would have been like, no, cancel The Office,
Yeah.
and I'd just
You
be sitting
can't.
here like,
Yeah.
no. But I'm so glad that's like out there, and like there's no way people are gonna attack The Office though. Like
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
it's too beloved,
I
like
mean,
Steve Carell,
yeah.
Jim. Oh
I mean,
man.
at this point, I think like it's already that show is already iconic. You know, it's like
Oh
people
yeah.
love it. They know so much about it. So I don't know. I don't know if people will still be offended because it's like you'll expect it from that show. That's how I feel. You know, so
Right. I mean, you
it should be a
expect
problem.
Dwight to
You know,
be ridiculous. You expect him
right?
to be like
Ridiculous.
kind of
Yeah.
misogynistic in a way. It's like that's
Yeah.
who he is. It's like, all right, well, cool. Oh man.
So yeah.
No, great show though. Great,
Great
great show.
show. I agree. You know, uh, I kind of do the same too. But to me, I'm a big Big Bang Theory
Mm,
guy.
yeah.
So I've rewatched that show so many times, and when I draw, I like to listen to it. You know.
Yeah. No, that's a great one too. In fact, funny story about that.
Yeah.
When I was first starting out my channel and I wanted to get like a good like intro clip, I do the "What's Up, My Nerd Dizzles" clip.
Right.
Um, But at first, I was trying to find the clip of Todd Packer in the office saying, "What's up, my nerds?" And I couldn't find a good clip. And so I was like, okay, what's the next best thing? And then I remembered that line from Big Bang Theory. And I was like, oh, wait, that's
Right.
even better.
Howard.
Like, dang. And so I ran with that, and that's been a part of my channel ever since.
Yeah, it's stuck. You stuck with it, and I like it. It's probably one of the things that I remember from you that really, you know, like every time I hear that, I think of your channel. You know, so
Yes,
I think it was a great choice.
I
So
succeeded
yeah,
in
yeah,
plagiarizing
you
it.
did. Yes, you did. Yeah, it's funny. Like I think I think I think that's all I thought about. You know, when I thought about your channel for a while before I could hear any other sound. You know, I was like all I could hear was like, "What's up, my nerdizzle?" You know, that's all I could like identify your channel with Howard. That's basically what happened. You know, I was like,
Yes.
so it's
So
kind of
now when
funny.
anyone watches Big Bang Theory, they'll automatically want to go watch my videos.
Yeah. So you definitely succeeded on that. You know, so
Yes.
that's great.
I remember when I first started doing it and people were just like, dude, that's awesome. It's like, yes. Because like when you're a content creator, like you kind of look for anything that works. Like you're
Mhm.
throwing so many things against the wall and seeing what sticks.
Right.
Like there was different formats of reviews that I did that I either
Mhm.
liked or disliked. And then I found that clip and I was like, yeah, okay, that's something that does work. Let's keep up with that
Right.
and see where it goes. And then, now it's even in my new intro that I just came out with last week.
Yeah. See, we got a question here from Jay again.
All right.
Jay's an artist. I didn't know Jay was an artist. So let me see. Trying to figure. Keep an eye out for some comes. I'm trying to figure out which digital iPad to buy now. My bro is suggesting iPad Pro. Any suggestion would be much appreciated if y'all have any. So, what do you recommend? Because you are using an iPad Pro, right?
Yeah, I'm using an iPad Pro, and I really do recommend this. Like honestly, iPad Pros and their Apple Pencils that they come with are so helpful, especially when you get the app Procreate. I love Procreate so much.
Mm-hmm.
Um, it's got so many great tools. Like literally, it has some of the great tools of Photoshop, and there's just so many different things that you can do with it, and I just really really enjoy it. So yeah, I definitely recommend Procreate on the iPad Pro.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. Procreate. I think I mentioned it to people who asked me about it too before. Procreate and iPad Pro. I was so impressed when they came up with Procreate, and
Mhm.
like as of right now, I still think the iPad Pro is the best portable art device out there.
Yeah.
Uh, it's super easy, very friendly. You super easy to learn. And if you're not doing like big project like my dockside project, that's the best thing you can have out there. So
Yeah.
I definitely recommend that, Jay. If you're still here and listening, I recommend that.
Yeah,
uh
iPad Pro is literally what I do on my comics on because it has the option of like
mhm,
putting things in layers and saving them as like a whole PDF, which is how you have to upload it to Amazon Direct Publishing to publish them and
right.
everything. Like it's so convenient. I had a great teacher at my university who actually did matte painting for plenty of Hollywood films. Like he did a lot of matte painting for Prometheus, for a
Oh,
lot of great TV
nice.
shows, and he taught me how to use the software. And like honestly, without him, I'd be an amateur. Like honestly, now, I'm not saying I'm a pro or anything, but like I would definitely
Right.
not be where I'm at now.
Oh, I know what you mean. I totally know what you mean. But since we're talking about your school, how was your experience, at school, like with other student teachers, and was it what you expected when you decided to go into the field that you chose?
Well, it's actually funny because I didn't initially go into school to study art because my entire life, like, of course, I always loved doing art. My
Hmm.
mom would always tell me, like, oh, like you're not going to make any money, so like try to be like a doctor or like an optometrist, like your uncle. And I was like, okay, I guess I'll do that. I kind of want to make money, and then eventually later, I learned the Persian language because of an assignment that I got as like a what's it called, volunteer stuff. So
Hmm.
like with that, I was like, maybe I can go into like military work, because they need interpreters for Middle Eastern languages all the time.
Right.
So I initially went to college to be a political science major, and which is so hilarious now. Um, but I quickly realized I just did not like that at all. And then I just tried the basic business route, and then didn't like that either.
Mm,
Like I was just honestly, I was kind of miserable with those things. Like I just didn't feel like I was doing what my potential could be. I just
right.
didn't feel like I was doing something that I loved. And when I'm
Mm,
not doing something that I love, I'm very demotivated. So
right.
like that was a big problem for me. And I knew that
Yeah.
if I did something in that field that I didn't love, then I would be miserable in whatever job that I got.
Mhm.
So I was just like, you know what? I've loved art my whole life. Let's try this out. And so I took an art class, and I had some great teachers
Mhm.
that really opened my eyes really opened my eyes again to my love for art, and what I can do, and just learning the different programs that I needed to use and everything. And so after that, I was just like, you know what? I may not make a lot of money, but dang it, I'm going to be an art major.
Right.
And so that was always a topic of conversation, like, oh, like, what are you going to school for? I was like, I'm going to school for art. So basically, I don't want to make any
Mm.
money, but hey, I'm happy.
Yeah. No, I think you touch a very, very important point. I think probably the most important point that as an artist or any sort of artist, in general, whether you're a musician or
Mhm.
a YouTube content creator, the most important point is, like you say, is you want to love what you do, and that's a that's a great point, because on my from my point of view, I joined the military,
Huh.
and it's something that I always wanted to do since I was a young kid. I love the discipline, something about some kind of calling,
Yeah.
with the military that I always love and enjoy. So, but in the end, I remember that well, one of the reason that made me get out, is it's because it was a lot of sacrifice, and in the end, I realized that, the thing I was doing just didn't make me happy. Like I feel like if I was still single at the time, maybe I would still be happy doing it, but
Yeah.
from where I wasn't happy anymore. So I had to find something that made me happy. Something that I will go every day, knowing that I love doing, and I can't complain. I won't complain about it. And that
Yeah.
was art. So uh, I think that's a great point. If there's any artists listening right now, that is the most important thing you want to do. As an artist, you want to just do what you love.
Yeah. And that you hit the nail right on the head. Talking about doing what you love, like that's the same way I approach YouTube. Like,
Mhm.
there's a lot of YouTubers out there who do like movie news on literally everything out there, and that's awesome. They do a great job at
Right.
it. But for me, like, I know I'm putting out a lesser than product if I'm just simply talking about something that I don't like just for the sake of clicks. I
Right.
know for a fact that that's just not going to make me happy.
Mhm.
And so with that, I'm just like, you know what? I'm going to try to limit what I talk about just the things that I love. That way it's genuine,
Mhm.
and the audience, because the audience can see that. Your
Mhm.
viewers and your audience, the people who buy art, whatever, they see if you're genuine or not. It's very
Right.
noticeable. And if you are, then they're attracted to that. If you're
Yes.
not, then it's very noticeable. So that's
Yes.
how I always try to approach it. Like, okay, I gotta just do what I love to do, and joy will come from it because that's just how it works.
Yeah.
And may I
No,
ask you,
you're. Yeah. No, go ahead. No, go ahead.
what branch of the military were you in?
Oh, Navy.
Oh, awesome! My
Yes.
grandfather was a Navy frog.
Oh, nice.
Yeah,
That's great.
back in the good old
Yeah.
days, the old like
Back in the good
submarine
old days.
suits.
Yeah. That's fantastic. Yeah. When I was in the Navy, I was a cook, so I was basically everyone's best friend. I always
I
hook
could
people
see
up,
that.
and
I could
you
so
know,
see that.
yeah. If you're a cook on a ship, you hook everyone up. If they need
Yeah,
something, I got you, because food saves lives on a ship. I tell you that. It makes
absolutely.
people happy. So
Food
yeah.
makes me happy, so that's very true.
But yeah. But I was gonna say, when you talk about like doing what you love, and especially in nowadays, when you're creating content, online, or just art, a lot of what I've noticed is a lot of artists are always chasing the click, the likes, what's on the mainstream, and it doesn't feel so genuine. It feels like they just, like, for example, like I remember when Chadwick Boseman passed away. All of a
Mm,
sudden, like, every artist they just want to do like some Black Panther art, and trying to get like some clicks and likes, more
yeah,
followers.
trying
It
to work
didn't
off
really
the
feel like,
trend.
and to me it kind of felt like, are you using the this celebrities sad event, death, to get something out of it? And that's not very, like, something genuine, like, what I mean, like, a lot of
Yeah,
artists, or just creators in general, even like uh like what do you call those again, just like colliders and things like that, those
mm,
guys,
yeah.
the scoopers, so so they like to call themselves, they all chase the click, the like and the
Which
following.
Scooper is such an unfortunate name. Like,
Right. you
like,
know
what do you do? I scoop.
yeah. you know I mean, it's it takes away from, like, the real, artists, like, since we're talking about scoopers, like Shiraz Faruqi, it takes away from real journalists like that, well, in that
Yeah,
sense, and I think it goes all around for all kind of artists, whether you just, illustrator, musician, or anything like that. We
yeah,
live in a time, an age where people, that's what people do, and I don't think it's what really makes people happy, in the end.
Right. Exactly. I can definitely agree with that. Again, it's all about what do you love in the end, and
Right.
what's going to make you happy. And that's one thing I did notice early on, because there was a short time where I noticed I was trying to report on so many small things, and it
Mhm.
was exhausting. And it
Mhm.
wasn't about things I necessarily cared about. And so I'm just like, okay, like, do I actually care about these things that I'm discussing? Like, am I actually, doing something that I really believe in? Like, and then I had to reevaluate what I was doing. And when I did that, like, obviously I was making less videos, but I was less tired. I was more energized for things that I did love. Because I noticed that when I would talk about things that I didn't, and my performance or my energy level suffered. And
Mhm.
that's not something you ever want as an artist or creator. You don't ever want to come off as like, yeah, I'm just tired. I'm just doing this because for the sake of,
Right.
whatever. Just come and watch and have fun.
Right.
But it's such an interesting game,
It
content
is.
creation.
Yeah, it is a game, like you said. I think that's the best word to describe it. People are all playing this game where they're trying to you know get you know get it there first, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I remember talking to a friend of mine who is also a friend with a big YouTuber. He will tell me things sometimes that's like it just makes you wonder. Like when they would post an art video, they will have to you know as a clickbait title, you have to put like 600 hours of like drawing this and that, and it's like it
Mhm.
gets people's attention, this kind of thing, even though you probably didn't take that long. You probably didn't take that long,
Right.
you basically put things like that out there to just attract people, so it
Yeah.
just kind of makes you wonder sometimes, like where all this is taking artists, like what directions it's taking all the artists to, and
Yeah.
in some way it's kind of sad in some way,
Yeah.
but
I
yeah.
can agree with that. I can agree with that. I think it also just kind of depends on the artist in question.
Right.
Sometimes they'll be genuine about everything, which is impressive to say the least, because that requires a lot of energy, and it's very rare.
Mhm.
But other times it's just like, they just kind of, oh, that's some volume
Oh,
issues here. Sorry about that. I was
yeah, no
trying to
worries, no worries.
the phone thing here and adjust the angle.
No worries.
But no, yeah, you hit the nail right on the head. It's
Mm.
the, the secret to great art is sincerity. And the secret to great art is actually loving what you're doing.
Mhm.
And that's why creators like, for example, Zack Snyder, we always go back to him. Like, he loves what he
Yes,
does. Other
yes,
directors like Christopher Nolan and other great filmmakers like Martin Scorsese, they love what they do, and it
yes,
shows in their
it
final
shows.
product.
Yes, absolutely. And it's sad that a lot of people don't see that nowadays. They like to for some reason, like I remember when Martin Scorsese was talking about how the movie industry was changing, and basically it was becoming like an attraction, more
Mhm.
than a actual art, the art of making filmmaking. People
Yeah.
were making fun of him and just going at it on him, and I just thought it was it's sad, because you have like legend like Martin Scorsese out there just trying to teach you something, but
Like, this is a
people
guy
just don't
who
see it.
knows what he's talking about.
Yeah, exactly. But people don't see that.
Yeah, because, like, again, you hit the nail right on the head when you say it's more of an amusement park
Hmm.
nowadays.
Yeah.
Like, in many instances, there's nothing wrong with that, because, like, if you enjoy it and all that, and
Hmm.
if you do, then go ahead. But I think oftentimes that ends up being a replacement concept rather than simply something new being introduced. You know what I mean? Like, people
Right.
nowadays think that just the fun and in your face and bright is the only way to go, and the
Hmm.
art of filmmaking is suffering because people see all these other honest attempts at making art, and they're
Right.
like, "No, this doesn't work. This is not art." It's just like, wait, hold on, what?
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. Trying to find my a reference for some reason I can't Can't remember what his arm looked like. I don't want to do the scale wrong.
I love the plating on his shoulders that he has. It's like it's got a good like angle to it. Like
Yeah.
it's in the middle. Like and the fact that it moves so much, just so freaking cool.
Oh yeah, that's one thing I love in the movie. It's like his armor is literally alive.
Yeah.
And that's amazing.
Again, like the part that I probably freaked out the most over in the movie, besides like just seeing all these great scenes that we've been hearing
Mhm.
about for so long, was when he flexed and those arrows just snapped.
Oh
Because
yes,
I
yes,
wasn't expecting that. I was just like, oh my
yes,
gosh. That
yes. Yeah, he
was
was
amazing.
basically flexing on the Amazon, like that's nothing.
He
Like
was
you got anything
flexing.
better? Yeah,
Like,
that's
come at me,
amazing.
Amazons.
Yeah, yeah, that's funny.
Oh my gosh.
But
No, that
yeah,
was I sat there with my sister Heidi, and she's watching me watch the movie, and like I think she was so
yeah,
amused just at my reaction to everything. Like every now
yeah.
and then she'd be like, "Is it everything you hoped for?" I was like, "Yes." She's like, "Don't mock me. This is my hopes and dreams right here."
Yeah, that's funny. Hey, listen, Dawson. It's been a good hour and a half. I don't know
Holy
how much longer you want to go. But
I didn't
I was
realize the
kind
hour and a
of
half went by that fast. Holy cow.
yeah, it did. I think we had fun and we talked. And
Yeah.
I'm trying to keep. Uh, I got I got a good idea from the Faruqi brothers. You know how they like to have the keep the video within 45 to an hour. And
Yeah.
I was trying to do that, but I didn't see that. I didn't realize the time was going by so fast.
Yeah.
And I think it's a good time, for videos every time. But look, before we stop, I want to say if you have anything to say to everybody else, everyone who's watching,
Yeah,
you know,
absolutely. I mean, again, Victor, thank you so much for having me. This has been absolutely fantastic. Just that I being able to sit down with another artist and just draw for a bit.
mm,
It's very refreshing. It's something that I'm not able to do a lot, which is just awesome. So again, thank you for that. And for all those who tuned in, again, thanks for supporting Victor, and also for those who have tuned in and have supported me. Big thank you to you as well, just because like again, these past 3 years,
mm,
we've all built this great community here online and on YouTube and on Twitter and such in a time where a lot of separation and a lot of division is happening. We've
mm,
all found common ground in something we all love, which is something that I'm very proud of as far as like being a member of this movement and this fandom,
mm,
is that we're all united in a front. We're all united in an effort to see artistic integrity, to just enjoy certain characters that we love and everything. And it's just a really cool thing to see in this modern day and age. So thank you to all you guys for being such great participants in that, and for doing all that you do and supporting both me and Victor. And yeah, before I ramble on too much, that's pretty much it.
yeah. No, I think you said everything, and yeah, I appreciate coming in, and we'll have you. I have you again. It was fun. I really like that too, and
Yeah,
it really pushed me to start drawing again. And I love drawing with other artists. It's more motivating that way. So
yeah,
I'm definitely gonna have you back again. Sometime. Maybe we'll do it on a new channel this time. Who knows? But
yeah. I'd be down
yeah,
for that.
So I mean, hopefully you get to finish that too. I want to see the finished version. I think I'm gonna work on mine also tomorrow, and then post it, share it later.
And then I'll try to match whatever you come up with and
Oh
see if
no,
we can have good. It's just like,
yours
man,
is fantastic already, man.
I
I love it.
appreciate
Well, hey, really quick again, where can people find you? Plug in all your stuff right now.
Yeah, you can find me on Twitter at NIMW32, as well as Instagram. I'm not as active on Instagram as maybe I should be, but I do post every now and then. You can also find me on Vero at Dawson Weedrick, and YouTube, of course, at Nerdy in many ways. Yeah, we post videos pretty often. It used to be daily, but now that I got a new job, it's like I'm just trying to figure out the schedule of what's going to work for me. But we are going to try to have a stream tomorrow,
Mhm.
pending I can get my technical issues figured out and hopefully get a new computer, which would be fantastic. because I've been running with my wife's like 10-year-old laptop for the past 2 years, which is it's done the job until recently. So
Oh man, yeah. It's time to upgrade.
the struggles of
Yeah.
content creation is real.
Yes. All right. Well, thank you so much, Dawson. That's it for tonight, guys. Thank you again for joining. And thank you, Dawson, again, the nerd in many ways. I'll see you guys next time.